What's up, fight fans? What's going on? Lunar Visuals MMA here. Eric with Lunar Visuals MMA here. And we've got ourselves another fight predictions and commentary video for you guys. UFC 299, Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera. We've got a stacked one here, folks. It's going to be pretty big. And just want to go in with my picks and predictions and commentary with this. Talk about these fighters about to put on a hell of a show. We've got a stacked card coming up. Not this next weekend, but the weekend after. It should be absolute chaos. And I want to go in and break down what's going to go down, or what I think is going to go down. So stay tuned. Let's keep it rocking, baby.
Is there no one else? Is there no one else?
Let's read off the main card of UFC 299. Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Killer fight already. Killer. These guys have both been proven to just put on absolute wars. I mean, look at Petr Yan. He's gone through 3 losses. They've been with the best. And he's been running through everybody before the top level competition. I mean, he came off of 3 decisions. You got to give it to him there. He's a competitor. He's been through some hardships for sure, but you never count a guy like that out. Song Yadong, he's like lose here, 2 wins here, lose here, 2 wins here. Either way, it's a great matchup. Petr Yan and Song Yadong. They put these fights at the beginning of the card because they know what's going to just spark something. And then you got Gilbert Burns and Jack Della Maddalena. Gilbert Burns, who's always bringing the heat, always bringing the wars, always competing, fighting the best, anytime, anywhere. And then Jack Della Maddalena, who is a rising prospect, who's really starting to pick up some traction now, is finally being tested by a real vet. Kevin Holland, Michael Venom Page, newly signed Michael Venom Page, I should say. A guy, it's a co-promotion fight, really. I mean, coming from PFL, they're not co-promoting it, but coming from PFL and competing over there, or just coming from another promotion in general, just coming from another promotion, Michael Venom Page is the X factor on this card. We're seeing someone who's coming from, you could say, lower level tier promotion, because the UFC is the NFL of MMA, but he's really good in that promotion. But we're going to see him tested against Kevin Holland, which Kevin Holland already brings the heat too. These first 3 fights on the main card are just absolutely amazing. And then you got Dustin Poirier, proven, seasoned vet. I use the word seasoned a lot. This man is seasoned. He's got his own hot sauce too. I mean, come on. Seasoned vet Dustin Poirier. And coming up against a killer, Benoit Saint Denis. This guy's steamrolled the past 3 guys. He's 3 or 4, 5 guys he's went through. And no one's shutting him up. It's great because you see these guys go on this train. They're steamrolling through these people, the lower tiers of the UFC. And then they come up and they get this big test. And then you see what they're really made of. You see what they can really do. Because when you see a guy like Benoit Saint Denis really fight someone at the level like Dustin Poirier, he's moving from fighting Matt Favola, who was like maybe ranked 13th or 12th. And he's fighting the guy who just fought for the belt recently, or for the BMF belt, and then the belt before that, and fighting the best. So what do you say to that? Benoit Saint Denis is about to be truly tested, and if he can get through Dustin Poirier, he might be a problem for the lightweight division. I mean, and then there's Arman Tsarukyan too. I mean, like this division is like the most stacked in the world, and Benoit Saint Denis might be the future of the lightweight division. And then we got Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera, a longly anticipated rematch that many fans wanted to see. Marlon Vera, he didn't get a winning streak to get this fight. He lost to Corey Sandhagen, and then he got the Pedro Munoz win, and the timing and the stars just aligned for this fight. So, I mean, it's just matchmaking, good matchmaking, not the worst matchmaking either. I won't say he hasn't deserved it because he was on a 4-win tear, and then Corey got injured. So it's like timing and injuries impacts everything in the fight game. So that's the main card. I'm going to get into it. Let's get to the first, which is Petr Yan and Song Yadong. Let's look at these guys real quick. Let's look at Petr Yan, right? Coming off 3 decision losses. 3. 2 of them being split. 2 of them being split decision losses. Sucks for Petr Yan. It really does. I mean, 1 being to Aljo, 1 being to Sean, which some people thought he won. Some people thought he won the Aljo fight too. Both close fights, but still didn't necessarily put the final nail in the coffin to really secure a win with those 2. He struggled in both of those fights. He struggled in both of them. 1 being 3 rounds, 1 being 5. Struggled in multiple rounds in each. And then there's a Merab fight where he kind of got dominated. I mean, just by being out wrestled. Merab's got that relentless trying to take you down mountain style. Khabib in your face, take you down grappling style, you know? And now he's going up against Song Yadong, who's more of a guy who stands. I mean, look, Song Yadong's percentage of wins are by KO and submission. 9 of them are decisions. 42% of his wins are by decisions. Hell, I don't want to see Petr Yan go to another decision. I don't. But look at his fights. Half of his fights have gone to decision. But when he doesn't go to decision, he's knocking you out. 7 out of his 16 wins are KO. 43%. To be exact. So if Petr Yan's really sharpened his tools, really done some evaluating since his last fight, which was March of 23, I could see him doing some real good work in there. Song Yadong's grappling, I don't think it's been tested really. He's fought a lot of guys that like to stand in his past like 7 or 8 fights. He hasn't really fought any really talented grapplers, I would say. He's been matched with a lot of strikers. So I would say if Petr can really utilize grappling and push that offensively, I'd say Petr Yan takes it. But Song Yadong is very quick and talented on the feet, as we've seen, and so is Petr. But Petr coming off of 3 losses now, being 20. He is not 20. How old is Petr Yan? Petr Yan is, can you guys not give me his age? Sorry. 31 years old. He is 31 years old, and Song Yadong might even be the same age, but he's 28. So, I mean, Petr isn't exactly, he's in his prime, really. His prime years. These are his prime years still. So, if he can really utilize a little bit more grappling than striking, because he tried to strike with Sean O'Malley, right? He tried to strike with Aljo, and he kind of got some better exchanges there, but the grappling is what got to him. And I think he needs to use that to his advantage if the fight becomes a struggle for him on the feet. Song Yadong, however, you might want to get this guy in round 1 if you really want to get him, because he's a slow starter. And if you can get him in round 1, it's easy money for Song. Easy. If you can get a slow starter, which Petr Yan is a slow starter, notably a slow starter in his rounds, where he just he's feeling it out and he's not really throwing a lot, not exchanging a lot, just kind of feeling you out and throwing here and there. If he can somehow land an overhand right like Dan Ige did in his last fight, you've got yourself a first round KO there. I mean, you couldn't have looked at a better setup overhand right. If Song Yadong can land that, I mean, this fight could go either way. I don't really know if I have a prediction. I want to say Song Yadong, honestly. I want to say TKO if Petr Yan doesn't have it. But it's hard to make these decisions, but I'm going to go with Song Yadong for this one. Probably by KO or decision. Probably decision. I don't know. I'm torn between the two. If it goes bad for Petr, KO. If it goes decent for Petr, decision. Next fight. Gilbert Burns and Jack Maddalena. Gilbert is a dog. He's been doing so much, putting in the work, comes in and takes Khamzat Chimaev at 170 pounds, loses, we could say, a fairly close decision to Khamzat Chimaev, gave Chimaev a run for his money. Then he goes out and submits Neil Magny. Then he goes out and beats Jorge Masvidal. And then right after that, a month later, he goes to fight Bilal Muhammad and loses a decision after he suffered a shoulder injury, I think. You got to give it to this guy. He's kind of definition of fight anywhere, anytime. And he always wants to fight the best. And that's something that I always look at. And Gilbert hasn't been knocked out since the Usman fight. TKO'd since the Usman fight. So he hasn't really taken too much crazy, any wear and tear on the chin, I should say. And we've seen this guy. He's been in there with the best. But with a guy like Jack Maddalena, whose KO rate is at 68%, 11 of his 16 wins are KO, I would hope he utilizes his ground game and grappling a lot more. Because we saw what you did when you stood with Chimaev. I mean, you got some good exchanges there, but what did you really get out of it? Khamzat won that fight for taking you down. He really, I mean, if y'all just stood the whole time, it could have been a different fight. But the fact that when you stood with Chimaev, it was a little scrappy and sloppy, and he got a lot of good exchanges. So did you. But I think you take Jack Della Maddalena to the ground, you have an easy fight here. But he's coming off of a split decision with Holland, split decision with Basil Hafiz, and Randy Brown submission. So I mean, he's been fighting. Kevin Holland's a top guy, but Gilbert Burns is a real test for him, but he's only lost by submission once and by KO once. And that's a long time ago. So Gilbert really needs to utilize his grappling, push him to the distance, really test Jack Della Maddalena's strength, because if he's gone the distance twice. He's gone the distance 3 times in his career. Once against Kevin Holland, once against Basil Hafiz, and one time before 2016, so it doesn't even matter. But push this guy to the limit. You guys got three rounds. You need to push him to the limit and utilize your grappling if you're going to win this, Gilbert. But for Jack Della Maddalena, if he can avoid Gilbert's takedowns and the grappling aspect of his game, I say Jack Della Maddalena might be able to piece him on the feet, but I wouldn't count out Gilbert's striking. It's very good. Very good. We're about to see whose is better in this fight. He's got a 68% KO rate. Gilbert's a little bit more stagnant on the KO. 6 out of 22, but got more submissions. 40% submission rate. So I really see Gilbert wanting to utilize his base, his skills, his jiu-jitsu, his grappling. I want him to use that if he's really wanting to get a win against an upcoming guy who's got knockout power. How do you mitigate a guy who's got dynamite in his hands? You take him to the ground where his hands do less than half the damage that it would on the feet. That's all I'll say on that. I want to say Gilbert by decision, but anything could happen. Next up, we got Kevin Holland and Michael Venom Page. Newly signed Michael Venom Page. This is going to be a crazy matchup. I mean, Kevin Holland always brings the heat. Michael Venom Page, newly signed from Bellator. I got that completely wrong. Newly signed from Bellator. I completely mixed that up. But Michael Venom Page, only 2 losses in his career, right? Really hot prospective guy. I mean, he's 33 years old. He is 33 years old and still kicking and still putting in work. And his last loss was a split decision. Lost a KO in 2019. I mean, this guy hasn't lost a lot lately. I mean, let's see. He fought once a year. He's been fighting once a year. A little bit of inactivity. That's where I'm going to kind of lean towards Kevin Holland a little bit. Fought once in 23, fought once in 22, fought twice in 21, and then once in 2020. But he's been fighting in Bellator. Kevin Holland's been fighting in the UFC. It's different competition. I mean, he's got some great competition he's going against in Bellator, but still. Douglas Lima split decision. Derek Anderson TKO. Let's see. What's his rate? 5 decisions out of 21 wins. 14% submission rate. 3 out of 21. Yeah. He's going to have to KO Kevin Holland. I don't see him submitting him. He's not crazy on the ground. He's got a 61% KO rate, but the last time he TKO'd someone in his last fight, but since then it was 21. I mean, I don't know. This is a tough one. I mean, we look at Kevin Holland. Pause. We look at Kevin Holland and let's look at Kevin Holland. 56% KO rate and 28% submission rate. I mean, he's been fighting the best. Lost to Jack Della Maddalena by split decision where we saw it was just not the fight he wanted to be in. Just it wasn't all the way there. Michael Chiesa submission. Santiago Ponzinibbio KO. Lost to Stephen Thompson, but this guy's been fighting a lot. And the best in the world. Stephen Thompson, Khamzat Chimaev, Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, all these guys are the top. He's fighting the top, and he's not losing in crazy aspects. I mean, he lost to Stephen Thompson by TKO, but he went 4 rounds with him, landed some good exchanges with him, lost to Chimaev in 22, but that was a while ago, and that was a first-round submission. I mean, he didn't take any damage from that. Certainly needed to work on his grappling, but he kind of showcased that in the Chiesa fight. But I would say if Kevin Holland plays this fight the way he should, which is not too crazy on the feet, utilizes the grappling a good bit, I say he could win it by decision. I don't know if he's KOing Michael Venom Page. He might. He has that power. But at the same time, I think it goes to the decision just because you got 2 really good seasoned contenders who've been in the top 15 of their divisions who just know how to fight, been fighting the best too in their weight classes, in their promotion. Even when they lose, it's like you still respect this guy. He's fighting a month or 2 later. Kevin Holland's got an 81-inch reach. What are we at? Michael Venom Page has got 79. It's got a little bit of a reach on him, but they're about the same height. 6'3". It's going to be a close one. I mean, the matchmakers knew what they were doing with this. It's going to be a close one. These guys are basically same reach, basically same height, similar resumes kind of in the amount of wins they have and how they kind of like to stand more. But other than that, it's really hard to pick. I want to say Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland will take him to a decision if he doesn't finish him because Michael Venom Page will be probably a harder guy to finish than you would think. I would say probably Kevin Holland by decision. I mean, I would love to see Kevin Holland pull off a finish or execute on something if he can, but I think he's going to get pushed to a decision just because Michael Venom Page is probably going to be, I don't know, he might be a little bit hungrier than Kevin Holland. I don't know. We'll see. I want to go with Kevin Holland on that one though. And now we're on Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint Denis. I'm going to start off with Dustin. Dustin's got a weird little thing going because that Justin Gaethje fight for the BMF belt, that head kick caught me by surprise. It caught me by a mile away. I was like, what just happened? I didn't believe it. I mean, Justin Gaethje is just a different guy. That'll be another day, another discussion. But the submission in 3rd round against Chandler, I mean, he just took all that damage in the first 2 rounds, and then you just submit him in the 3rd round. That's one hell of a way to take out a guy like Michael Chandler, a real competitor, a real guy who's got giant TNT sticks in his hands, just lobbing them at you. And then the loss to Oliveira in 21. I mean, it's such a hard spot for him right now, right? He wants a belt. And it's kind of hard for him because he's not really done well against wrestlers, the Dagestani style, or any type of grappling, really. Advanced grappling like Oliveira and Makhachev or Habib, excuse me. But we look at Benoit Saint Denis. We talk about how this guy's been steamrolling everybody. This guy's gotten 8 out of his 10 wins are by submission. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I saw Benoit Saint Denis as a striker, but he's a grappler. I mean, that's in his former fights before the UFC. I mean, they're really pushing this guy to be up next. If you beat Dustin Poirier, that might warrant a title contender fight. Really? I feel like Benoit is going to stand with Dustin. He might give the fans a fight to watch. And I think that might be his downfall because that's where Dustin thrives. Dustin thrives in the pocket. Dustin thrives when you've got him up against the fence and you're hitting him with hooks here and there. He comes back and he thrives off of that. He comes back. He rallies because he wears you out. He can take a lot. I mean, he did get knocked out in his last fight. We could say his chin might be slightly compromised, but that was from a vicious head kick from one of the most vicious head kickers in the world. We'll say that. But Benoit Saint Denis just had a nasty... I don't know if they've updated his record. I'm pretty sure he just knocked out Matt Frivola. I need to check the stats here. I don't think Verdict has updated his record yet. Yeah, they have not updated his record at all. Yeah, he head kick KO'd and KO'd Thiago Moses and head kick KO'd Matt Frivola. They have not updated his record. Shame on them. Head kick KO'd Matt Frivola. If you guys saw that fight, it was a nasty head kick. If Dustin gets caught with one of those head kicks again, who knows what'll happen to him. I want to say Dustin's best opportunity for a win here is on the feet, but you've got to stay out of the range of those kicks of Benoit Saint Denis. I mean, he thrives off of being, like I said, he thrives off of being in the pocket and exchanging and then wearing someone out. If he can wear Benoit out, it's easy. It's Dustin's fight. But if Benoit can play a more paced fight, where he really starts to analyze how Dustin is, right? Dustin, if he can draw Dustin in, right? Like Justin Gaethje did with that head kick, Benoit's going to take it. But if Dustin can capitalize on Benoit's mistakes, which is throwing those fancy head kicks, you got to be ready for it. I'm sure he's going to be a lot more cautious now. After having a head kick KO, I think he's going to be very cautious. He hasn't been KO'd in a long time. I think since maybe Michael Johnson, and submitted by Oliveira, but not KO'd. He's generally got a great chin when it comes to striking. So I think we're going to see a more cautious Dustin Poirier, I would think. I mean, usually he brings a slugfest, but it's kind of getting late in his career. He doesn't have much left in him to give. I mean, he's about giving all he's got to the sport and to this promotion. This is like probably his last run for the title. I mean, he's looking at being 35 years old. This is it. When you're in the division, the lightweight division specifically, 35 can be a very scary number because these guys, these upcoming guys, it's one of the most stacked divisions in the world, just in general. Everyone wants to fight in this division. I think it might be the most populated division by numbers. But Dustin's really got to play strategic here. I think if he can outscore him on the rounds, instead of trying to push that firefight that he usually does, I say Dustin gets it by decision probably. Dustin likes to go out on a shield, and generally he's not the one going out on a shield. It's the other person going out on the shield. So if he can play strategic, outscore Benoit for each round, I say he gets it. But if he plays reckless, I say Benoit will win. But Benoit hasn't been tested. He hasn't been a decision at all in his career, which is a very scary thing also for Dustin. Dustin's gone a decision a few times, but this one is different. This is a different fight. This one is going to be insane. I don't know if it will go the distance, but we shall see. I'm going to go with Dustin by decision if he plays it smart. Benoit by KO if he doesn't. Now we're on to the main event. Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera. Whew, man. We're looking at quite the fight here. Sean O'Malley has been on a tear. Hasn't been to a decision other than the Yan fight. We're really about to see his boundaries pushed. We're really about to see this guy pushed to the limit, I think. With Marlon Vera being a very talented and well-matched striker, I should say. He's dangerous. I mean, Marlon's kind of a slow starter to his fights at the beginning. And Sean O'Malley will probably take maybe the first or second round, but he's got to really look out for Marlon's strikes. CHITO's strikes are what really gets him his wins. And sometimes it's submission. I mean, he's got a 43% submission rate. I mean, I don't know. We haven't really seen Sean O'Malley's grappling truly tested, his ground game truly tested. No one's ever wanted to go to the feet with him. We might see Marlon try to push the grappling a little bit. I mean, he hasn't really used it in his last time he used it, went for a submission was 2019, but I'm expecting anything and everything for a title fight. I would not count out Marlon wanting to go to the ground. I think Marlon will try to go to the ground because that's not O'Malley's strong point. His strong point is his striking, his movement, his kicks, his moving in and out, his head movement. Everything with O'Malley is on the feet that you have to really worry about. O'Malley has one submission out of his 16 wins, and he's not going to go for submission against Marlon Vera. I can guarantee you that. He's going to try and strike with him. He's going to try and move in and out, leg kick here, body kick there, and then try and trade in the pocket with him, I think. I don't think this is going to go to the ground for O'Malley. Now, Marlon, I think, being that he's got 10 of his 23 wins by submission, he might see a hole there. I mean, he might not be as lucky to get a nice leg kick in that'll stun OMalley like he did last time. But Sean O'Malley did mitigate Aljo, who was a guy trying to take him down and really put that grappling forward pressure on him, but couldn't get it. So if Marlon Vera got that Dagestani in him and get him some takedowns, I say Marlon wins this fight. If he can really take him down, and hey, if it goes to decision and he gets takedowns the entire fight, and he does a little bit with them in 1 or 2 rounds, maybe in 3 rounds, he's got himself a decision win, most likely, unless he doesn't do anything with the takedown significant. But if Marlon can get takedowns, I say Marlon can probably open him up really bad or just wear him out more than he would if he was just standing with him. So if Marlon can really utilize all of his skills as a martial artist, I say Marlon will probably win. Maybe by submission. Maybe. It's been a while, but I wouldn't count it out. I think we haven't seen O'Malley's ground game tested in a long time in the octagon. Maybe in training he's been working, but in the octagon against the top best competition, I'm not even saying that Marlon's the best grappler or anything, but to see it tested in a championship bout is something that we're going to see. I think we're going to see a slightly different CHITO VERA here. If CHITO just stands with him, I would say probably Sean takes it. I mean, we see what happens when Marlon Vera stays stagnant. I mean, we saw what happened when the Corey Sandhagen fight. He lost, and he couldn't do anything about Corey's takedowns. He couldn't do anything about Corey striking. He couldn't do anything to Corey, even after he hurt himself. I really think he should use the grappling. But see, this is one of those weird cards where I can't pick. I say if he does this, he wins. It's one of those ones where it's really hard to call. I say if Marlon uses grappling, pushes the takedowns on O'Malley, and strikes with him and is successful, Marlon wins this fight easy. Whether he'll finish him, I'm not sure. O'Malley, his best road to victory is really defensively, or going on the offense in the first round and then defensively working his way through the rest of the fight, because Marlon's a slow starter and he'll work his way into the later rounds. He's got to watch out for those head kicks and those outside leg kicks as well. So it could be either way. This is one of those ones where I'm going to say Marlon, if he utilizes his skills as a martial artist, O'Malley, if he utilizes his stronger skills, which is striking and his takedown defense. Those are my picks. I've got some interviews coming soon, guys. Soon, I've got some interviews coming. Got some upcoming prospects that fight, one fighting out of Florida, one fighting out of Macon, Georgia. I am going to be interviewing them in the coming weeks. So stay tuned, guys. I'm going to have some great quality interviews coming with some great upcoming prospective fighters on the MMA, Georgia and Florida MMA scene. So please stay tuned for that, guys. I'm going to be bringing some quality interviews, really in-depth stuff, talking to these fighters about their careers and everything. So stay tuned. I've got 2 interviews coming, hopefully more. 2 guaranteed coming, and a lot more planned. So stay tuned on that, guys. And if you like the video, drop a like and comment. Appreciate everyone watching. Stay tuned for the next live stream. I will be live streaming UFC 299 for this fight. Eric with Lunar Visuals MMA. Catch you guys later.